Hey, welcome back. So, I thought we might take a little break and have a chat about NATO Division Commander. A game that I've played 3 or 4 times as a, coolest Aussie take whatever games you can find from the store guy. I went through a period of buying a lot of flat pack games from SPI, primarily because they were inexpensive and had really cool topics. So I was always very interested in the modern stuff. And I recall playing this a couple of times and having my opponent not be real excited about it. We had just come off the back of both owning a copy of City Fight and playing that to death, and another screened off, sort of pseudo-umpired, not being able to see each other's pieces exercise really, I guess, wasn't that exciting for us. And so we played it a few times, and I also umpired a game where he moved the Soviets along and had to kind of use some of the doctrine mandates that were in the rules. And so it was kind of fun. And so my memories of the game are quite positive. And my experience so far has been quite positive. As we now are in the beginning of the 5th turn for the Soviets, and we're playing this play-by-poll mode where for the US, I will post up questions that you can vote on as to what the US should do, in particular the 8th Mech Division, which has 3 brigades, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and I'm giving you choices of what to do for the various units, to change mode, to attack, or to recover some fatigue, or move, or stay in place, and things like that. And you've all done a wonderful job so far. It's been really great for me because it helps me. It's almost like having an opponent to play against, so it's fun. And hopefully most of my posts make a little bit of sense, and you can follow along. I think the second set of polls was a little confusing because I wrote them in a hurry and didn't really explain things very well. So what has all that got to do with anything? Well, here's the thing. As we're digging into the game, and now with my very mature and highly competent game-playing capabilities, the ability to consume multiple systems at the same time, I'm finding some little issues with the system, and you can certainly see that this is an older game, but really interesting stuff. The way things are done, and I'm unclear as to why someone hasn't gone back and revisited this style of game with this type of mode generation and things like that. I think probably the closest reiteration of this is the very old 1985 title. I think it's Air and Armor, which I played before I pulled this out with a couple of buddies. We played that once, and I played it once via Vassal, and that was it. So very good, really good game. So I can see now that I'm playing this, I can see where that came from. So what's going on here with this game? There's some interesting little side effects. Once you become engaged or half engaged, or you're adjacent to an enemy unit, you're really kind of stuck there. And part of the Soviet mentality is, I guess, pin and surround and then move on. But if you can't get around, then you've got to fight your way through. And the game is so then you've got to change modes to have an effective attack. I'm using kind of a doctrinal approach for the Soviets, and so they're rolling along in everything in administrative mode, which is what they probably will do based on what the rules and the guide say in the booklets. And you receive a penalty when you attack, and you receive a penalty when you're attacked. So that's the first problem that you face, which is fine. But then as you start layering in levels of fatigue, once you get to fatigue level 1, you have another penalty. And then these penalties keep, sort of growing and growing. And eventually you start off every attack in a potential situation where you are in a attack abort state, which would mean you would lose 2 steps and the attack doesn't happen and nothing happens to the defender. And in fact, you retreat, free the defender up, who can then move back a hex or whatever, and then not a Zoc anymore, and they move back. That's all fine and good, right? So the Soviets have to take a little bit of time then, perhaps, and rest a unit, get it out of its fatigue state, or they can try and convert into a prepared attack or a hasty attack, as the case may be, and get some little bonuses for doing that attack. But they have to be adjacent to the enemy to do those attacks. All right, that's all fine and good. Fatigue is created by changing mode and by moving. So if I'm at fatigue level 1, and I look at my little, there's a whole bunch of tables in this game, which is one of the kind of little problems with it. Let's see, if I'm at fatigue level 1, where is my little table that tells me what I changed to? I roll a die. Yeah, I will go up. Mode change or movement. Let me see. Quick. Yeah, I am going to go up 1 level of fatigue when I change mode. If I'm in fatigue level 1 and 1 through 3, I have a chance of going up 2. The negative effect of fatigue at fatigue level 2 is so significant that you are better off not trying to change mode and using the negatives that are accruing to you through the administrative mode that you might be in. Administrative mode gives you a -2 to your attack. Fatigue level 2 as an attacker is going to give you a -5. So if I were to be in hasty attack mode, I'm just looking at my little table over here, I get a +5 to my attack. Well, I'm now in fatigue level 2. I get this freaking -5, so it's net 0 benefit to me, which is better than -2, yes. But nevertheless, you see the point, right? You go through all this exercise and heartache of rolling dice and trying to get to your hasty attack mode, or your prepared attack would be, I don't think there's a prepared attack somewhere. I can't see the chit. I'm looking for the chit. He said quickly, where could it be? Anyway, doesn't matter. My point here is that as these deliberate attack, it's +6, so you get an extra +1. But my problem here is then that there's no incentive to try and go through mode changes. Even as the defender in tactical mode, it's ideal for the US. They don't need to move very far, so they don't need a lot of movement points. And if they want to make a counterattack, they can with 0 penalties, because that's what tac mode is. So would the... and I don't think the Soviets can really run in tactical mode as effectively, because they don't have enough turns to get up and down the highway to make the exit. They need the extra movement points to use tac mode if they were going to, do that as an alternative strategy and kind of break the doctrine of the game. So I'm having a few issues with that, and I'm now at a point where in these units that are adjacent here, I'm looking for means to make attacks, but the attacks are so bad that as I start going through factoring them up, it's like, wow, this is going to be an attack abort. This is going to be an attack abort. This has a 60% chance of being an attack abort. I don't want to take that risk as the Soviet player. So I'm kind of getting to the point where the US has done a really good job. And the US, I think the way you play this game as the US is you kind of have to be fairly aggressive with your counterattacks while you're fresh. Once you start hitting fatigue level 1, 2, you've got to then literally bring that 3rd Brigade, which is in reserve, bring it up and relieve and insert itself, and then swap the units out so they can rest and go back. So anyway, interesting situations here with the game. I'm not saying I'm stopping. What I am saying is that I don't think the Soviets can make a lot of progress here. Even with a chemical attack, it's still going to get me a result that's not going to be very satisfactory. And that's only 1 or 2 attacks on the chem attack table. After that, it's really little disconnect there, so we'll wrap this up. Suffice to say, we've got a few little tactical challenges for the Soviets, and we'll kind of go at things from there. We'll talk to you soon.